If you want to learn how to become a blocking demon with MIKAGE, then you clicked on the right video. MIKAGE is the newest secret style in Volleyball Legends, so a lot of people who have him don't know how to use him correctly. In this video, I'm going to fully explain his playstyle and how to use him to his fullest potential. So if you want to know the secrets to blocking people like it's nothing and winning games, then subscribe, like, watch this entire video, and join the Discord in the description for a chance to win an ability or style slot. Anyway, enjoy the video. Love you. For his general playstyle, you want to play like a hitter while maximizing how much you receive until your ghost arms are charged, and then you play very aggressively with your block until you run out and repeat. First things first, let's go through his stats. I'll be using the in-game stats and the VBL wiki to talk about them. MIKAGE's block is obviously his best stat. He has the highest block in the game, with it being rainbow, meaning that it's above 100%. The block gets upgraded even further with his secret special ghost arms that increase the hitbox, strength, and tilts of his blocks. I'll go further in depth about the ghost arms later in this video. MIKAGE's bump is very low at 20%. The only reason that this would affect your gameplay with MIKAGE is because you might bump to receive and charge your ghost arms, but the bump itself doesn't have much of an impact on how you play with him. MIKAGE's dive is yellow at 40%. Unfortunately, this does affect MIKAGE a lot because dives are what charge his ghost arms the most, and because his dives are so mid, it's risky to use it. So you should only use it when you know that you can get to the ball or if you need to save the ball. Otherwise, you should be using the bump to receive. MIKAGE's jump is maxed out at 100%. This helps him block, but isn't really necessary due to his massive hitbox, so it's actually more useful when playing MIKAGE as a hitter, since that's how you'll be playing him when you don't have your ghost arms. MIKAGE's serve is decent at 65%. This means that although his spiking capabilities are worse than Sanju for example, he can still make up for it in his stronger serves. You typically won't be acing, but his serve isn't bad by any means. MIKAGE's set is terrible at 24%. You will almost never set with MIKAGE though, so it basically doesn't matter. The only time you should be setting with MIKAGE is if it's the second touch and you can quickly set around the blockers to your teammate right next to you. MIKAGE's speed is low at 19%. This means that he can't glide as effectively as some other hitters. He also struggles to save a ball that is far away, so playing against players with good court awareness is very challenging, and timeskip Oigawa might just cook you. Finally, MIKAGE's spike is very good at 85%. This matters a lot since you'll usually be playing as a hitter until you charge your ghost arms, especially in 2v2s. Next, I'll guide you through where you should be on the court in different situations. MIKAGE's positioning is not very unique. Similar to most styles in the game, you'll want to stay slightly behind the attack line when receiving. This is because the hitboxes in Volleyball Legends are pretty large and forgiving, so you'll still be able to receive most serves while minimizing how far you need to travel in order to do so, which is crucial since MIKAGE's speed is so low. When spiking, you'll be playing just like any other style. Stay slightly past the attack line and close to the net so you can tilt in any direction while avoiding getting net fished. Something unique to MIKAGE is that his block is so strong that it actually might be worth it to use it as a spike. So if you see that the opposing team is staying too far back, it might be better to have your setter set closer to the net as close as possible, and then forward tilt and block the ball onto the other court instead of spiking. In 3v3s, 4v4s, and 6v6s, you're less likely to be the one spiking since there's a higher chance that you'll have a true spike-oriented style like Sanju or the twins on your team. In this case, you should always be aware of the ball and be open to hitting it yourself if the main hitter is not able to, and you should always be ready to receive any spikes from the opposing team or blocked balls. The further away the opposing team is when they spike, the further you should be from the net. If they have a Hirakumi or MIKAGE of their own, you should know that people usually play those styles to block, so stay closer to your main hitter when they're about to spike the ball and get ready to save any blocked balls with a dive, which would also charge your ghost arms. Once you know where you should be on the court, you also need to know the basics of what to do on the court. Lucky for you, serving and receiving with MIKAGE is pretty simple. Looking back at his stats, MIKAGE has a decently strong serve, maxed out jump, and low speed. This is all that matters when it comes to serving. A quick serve where you jump immediately after clicking on the purple section of the serve meter for maximum power is what you'll typically be doing. There's no real reason to do a moving jump serve unless you plan to use an ability such as redirection jump to catch the opponents off guard, so it's best to stick with the normal serve. With MIKAGE, you should always be forward tilting to avoid hitting the ball out of the court. There is a chance that the ball does not go out of the court when not holding any tilt, but it's safer to tilt W just in case. Other than that, just serve like you would with any other style. You should also plan on practicing shift locking if you really want to be good. Shift locking or flicking allows you to quickly change the direction you're looking to confuse the opponents. For example, you can look straight ahead and toss the ball, and then unshift lock, look to the opposite corner, shift lock, jump, and hit the ball to hit it in a direction that you weren't originally looking at. Receiving, on the other hand, is a little different from the other styles because of his secret special, Ghost Arms. You usually would use a low power bump to receive like any other style, but you have to have good decision making because that might not always be the case with MIKAGE. If the serve is heading close to you, a dive might be more optimal to get more charge for the Ghost Arms, since diving gives you 2 times more charge than bumping. You have to remember though that MIKAGE's dive is not very strong, so you should only go for it when you know for certain that you can get to the ball before it hits the ground, or if it's your only choice. Diving has a smaller hitbox than bumping, so keep that in mind when receiving. Now we get to the most unique part of MIKAGE's kit, his secret special, Ghost Arms. Before talking about the most practical use cases, I'll teach you the optimal method to charge them, since that's what's required for you to even use them. The Ghost Arms are charged by 3 things: bumping, setting on the ground, and diving. In terms of charging them, diving is the best option because it gives 2 times more charge than the other 2 options. However, in actual games, it's a lot harder to determine which is better because diving is not very practical and MIKAGE's dive isn't even that good. You should almost never be using a ground set to charge your Ghost Arms, with the only exception I can think of being if you don't have the time to lower your bump power and you need to move the ball a large distance. So in reality, you'll only really be charging with dives and bumps, but when should you use each one? For bumps, as previously stated, mainly use them to receive, and for dives, use them whenever you can. A lot of the time, I'll dive on one of the touches just to charge up my Ghost Arms. This works especially well if you have a teammate who gets the first touch so you can easily get a dive in, and your teammate has a decently strong spike so your possession is not completely wasted. In modes other than 2v2, this is even better if you have a teammate get the first touch for you to dive and another teammate to spike. Another bonus tip, although I'm not sure if it currently works or if it's been patched, is that after the point is over, there's a brief period of time where the ball is still able to be interacted with before the next person serves. So when the ball is on your side of the court during this time, let your teammates know that you need to dive on the ball to get extra charge on your Ghost Arms. This might be patched by the time this video comes out, but it helps you charge them much faster. It's also worth mentioning that MIKAGE's Ghost Arms charge faster in 6v6s, but I don't play those, so do with that information what you will. Finally, after charging your Ghost Arms, you need to know how to actually use their maximum potential. How you use the Ghost Arms is what separates a bad MIKAGE player with a pro, so I'll be teaching you a few things that make MIKAGE so special. After your Ghost Arms are charged, you only get 3 blocks before your meter is up and you need to charge them again. However, if you block and don't hit the ball, it doesn't take off any charge. So although you should be using your blocks wisely, you shouldn't be scared to block since it only counts if you touch the ball. Additionally, the more you use up your charges, the more you can charge back up, so you should actually be using your blocks as quickly as you can, but that doesn't mean we're wasting them. The hitbox of MIKAGE's Ghost Arms is easily the strongest part about them, but if you don't know how to abuse it, then it might backfire. The Ghost Arms' hitbox is so massive that it reaches across the net, allowing you to spike on the opponent's side of the court. This sounds strong, but it can also be dangerous, since if you accidentally block too close to the net too early and forward tilt, you might block the ball before the opponents hit it, so when they actually hit it, it goes right through your block. Because of this, you should only be using your block when you're certain that the opponent is about to spike the ball. MIKAGE's Ghost Arms also have a special kind of tilt, so let's go over them. With the front tilt, it's basically a spike, but can also block for essentially a free counter spike. However, this only really works if you have a low enough ping, otherwise the ball just slowly goes over the net. The side tilt is essentially Sanu or Sanju's tilt. It goes to the sides and it goes super high. I don't think there are many use cases for this, but if you're going against slow styles, then it might be able to score a point. Just be aware that it really does go super far. The bout tilt goes super high and it might trick your opponents. If your opponents are staying right up against the net, then you can use this to punish them since it will go above them and towards the back of their court. There are 3 main ways to use MIKAGE's Ghost Arms: spike blocking, blocking, and back blocking. Spike blocking is a technique that I previously mentioned, but with the Ghost Arms it takes it to another level. While MIKAGE's forward tilting block lands very close to the net, with the Ghost Arms it lands even closer to the net and faster. Because of this, if you're okay with using a charge, it might be worth it to use a block instead of spiking because it's just so fast and close to the net. Blocking itself is what MIKAGE lives for. When you see that the opponents are either in the air or far from the net, you can get ready to block their spike for a free point. This works best in lower player modes like 2v2 and maybe 3v3. For my main game mode 2v2, there's usually a lot of open space on the court, and at lower ranks, both players on the opposing team tend to come up to the net when spiking. So if you angle your block correctly, then when one of the spikes, you can deflect the ball to that same player who can't do anything until they touch the ground, but the ball will get there before them. If their teammate stays back to receive, you can usually still score because Mikage's block is just that strong. They might catch on to this and try to receive as a prediction rather than a reaction. In this case, you can use back tilt to send it over them and score at the back of the court where they left vulnerable. Blocking with Mikage is one of the easiest things to learn, but one of the hardest things to master, so keep practicing and I'm sure you'll do great. Finally, we have back blocking. Back blocking is when you block facing away from the net to slow down the ball so your teammate can receive it and set up a nice counterattack. The benefits of this is that blocking does not count as a touch, so you essentially get 4 touches, it defends against the opponents and slows down the gameplay. The issue is that Mikage's block is still fast, so you'll need a teammate that knows you're trying to pull this off and is ready to receive your back blocked ball. To do this technique, simply turn away from the net where you think the opposing hitter is about to spike and then block while tilting backwards. If your guess was right, then the opponent will hit the ball to you and the ball will redirect in whatever direction you were looking in for an easy defense. The real strength of this technique though is a special variant called net fishing. Net fishing allows you to steal the ball from your opponent's side of the court. It is illegal in actual volleyball, but not in Volleyball Legends. To do this variant, you just need to stand as close as you can to the net and make sure that the opponents are setting the ball close to the net as well. Because of Mikage's incredibly large hitbox with the ghost arms, you can grab the ball from basically halfway to the attack line on the opponent's side of the court. So if you see that their setter is about to set it close to the net and the hitter is getting ready to jump, then you can pull this off to steal the ball before they can even hit it, basically disarming their attack. In my opinion, this is the most broken thing you can do with Mikage, and if you master it, you'll be unstoppable. That's all for this guide. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and join the Discord in the description. Let me know what you think about Mikage in the comments and what you want to see next. Click the video on screen, I promise it won't disappoint.